you're going to have a war, and it's going to start in the Middle East. Why couldn't we go in and take over some of their oil, which is along the sea?
How would you do that? Would you send in the Marines? Would you take a chance in a war?
Let them have Iran. You take their oil. That's what
How?
How?
I mean, do we want a war? What do you mean we
in,
take their oil?
You go in. You're
How
gonna have
do
a
we
war,
go
Barbara.
in?
You're going to have a war by being weak.
Okay, how do we go in? What do we do?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
You're going to have a war, and it's going to start in the Middle East.
What if the Soviet Union said, you do this to Iran, we're going to come in?
I don't believe they'd do it. The next time Iran attacks this country, go in and grab one of their big oil installations, and I mean grab it and keep it, and get back your losses, because this country has lost plenty because of Iran.
Any country that doesn't do what we want them to do, that's an enemy. That is the official policy. If you read the actual U.S. policy, the national security posture and strategy, all that crap, any country that develops economically or militarily must be considered to be an enemy, and we must do what we can to keep that country down.
When they attack black people after they've been murdered, when they did absolutely nothing wrong, you're pushing us to the limit. And what do I mean by that? They were absolute savages. They murdered people, they lynched people, they raped people, they enslaved people. They took babies from their mothers and sold them as property. You want to talk about savages? Your ancestors were the biggest savages the world has ever seen. And so don't you dare call a black man a savage after you murdered him. Don't you dare do that. I'm so sick of African Americans being called violent when the world's worst violence was done to them, not by them, to them, not by them. For God's sake, you want to do racist stereotypes? Hundreds of years of history of being savages. Savages. They snatched babies and they sold them as property and they raped their mothers. Savages. That's what they were. You want to talk about stereotypes? Screw all of you who still defend that Confederacy, that monstrosity. Anyone who defends that is a barbaric savage.
Have you forgotten that once we were brought here, we were robbed of our name, robbed of our language, robbed of our religion, our culture, our God. We lost our folkways, our mores. We lost our norms. And many of us, by the way we act, we even lost our mind.
Here it is.
They're warriors. From the very beginning, black Americans have been a vital part of the American story, helping to make this the greatest nation in the history of the world.
Let's continue to correct the propaganda and the attempt at erasing the truth. Black Americans are not the descendants of the Indians in the history books. They are the Indians. The proof has been buried, but it's not gone. When Christopher Columbus washed up on these shores, lost and delirious, who did he write that he found? He called them Indios. He mapped a land he labeled India Superior, a territory that included Florida. He wasn't hallucinating an empty land. He was documenting people who were already there. These images can be found in Gran Canaria, Spain, at the Columbus Museum, Casa de Colón. And who were those people? They weren't the pale-skinned Siberians who crossed a land bridge, that's for sure. The historical records, the artwork from the era, the very descriptions, they detail people with dark skin, with hair textures that Europeans had never seen. They describe the original people as dark-skinned and woolly haired, the true owners of the soil. The people that Columbus met were Black Americans, the West Indians of the Caribbean, the Indians of the North and South American coasts. All of these territories were black civilizations. Native Americans are the erasure. They are the last part of the destiny swap, a foreign invasive group from Siberia, and was grafted onto the identity of the people who were already here, while the original people were systematically reclassified, enslaved, and renamed to sever their claim to the land. The Indian Removal Act was a removal of black indigenous nations. The face on the old nickel, the buffalo nickel, that proud profile was a black indigenous man, an American Indian. Every time someone speaks about Native American history while pointing to a group that arrived later, they are perpetuating the final stage of the conquest, the theft of the victim's identity. They replace the people and the story. Black Americans are not a people without a land. They are the land. They are India superior. They are the Indians that Columbus couldn't miss, and that every power since has tried to make you unsee. The map doesn't lie. The history books do.
Then how many apples did Adam eat?
Mm.
How many?
One.
And God did not forgive. One apple. And you come around and say, I must forgive 70 times 7. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa. I learned from God. You eat my fruit, I'll come in the afternoon. And I find that you have eaten my fruit. My fruit. Read your Bible. By the end of chapter 3, the owner of the orchard was telling the two thieves who had eaten his fruit, Adam and Eve, get out from here. Outside the garden with an angel who was holding a sword. If they come back again, chop off their heads. I don't want to see them here. Now, if that's what God does, why are Africans not using the Bible to think straight? We know the thieves. Or don't you?
No, we don't.